Hi everybody, I'm Susan Gray, your host for this edition of Book Talk. We are going to have so much fun today because we're going to be talking with best-selling author Carly Phillips about her new book, The Heartbreaker. Welcome Carly, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Carly is the New York Times best-selling author of The Bachelor and The Playboy, the first two novels featuring the Chandler brothers. She lives with her family in Purchase, New York. The Heartbreaker is a featured alternate of Doubleday Book Club, Rhapsody, Venus Book Club, and the Literary Guild. Carly, has anybody asked you to write for television yet?
Not yet.
I can't believe it.
You're so nice.
No, the pacing of the story would be so perfect. I can see what Kelly Ripa saw.
Oh, thank you.
Audience, you're going to love the backstory on this her first best-selling book. So you stay there and we'll get back to Kelly Ripa. But first, did you always write romance?
I always wrote romance. I thought you were going to say, did you always want to write?
No.
Yeah, I always wrote romance. And I love the happy ending.
Yeah. You went from being a lawyer to romance writing.
That's right.
Did they overlap at all?
Not at all. I had already left law when I decided to be a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I was lucky I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of reading because I had a colic baby and she loved to give me a hard time, and it was tough. So I fed her while I was reading and I did everything while I was reading. And then my husband said to me, honey, we can't afford you. You're reading one hardcover a day. And I said, I know, but you can't take it away from me. And I went and I started to look at paperbacks, and I looked at my favorite authors who had written hardcover novels, and I looked up their backlist, and I discovered that they started writing Harlequin or silhouette romance. And I found this whole new genre of books where every time I finished a book, I had that happy ending. And I was so excited. I said, I never have to put down a book again and say, oh, yuck.
Yeah.
So, that's how I got started with romance.
Well, you're not the first author who has gone from a really big, serious other career to writing. What made you give up lawyering? Was it because you wanted to stay at home with your kids?
That would be like the really nice answer, but the truth is, I couldn't hack it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand that.
You know what? I was at a New York City law firm, and it was so tough. And I would go 4:30 in the afternoon. I had been sitting there all day hiding books in my drawer sometimes because there was no work. And then I'd be like, I'm counting, the minutes because 5 o'clock is coming. They'd come in, and then they'd give me work, and they'd have me there till 2, 3 in the morning. I'd go home. I would have to get up again at 6, be back there by 8. I said, you know what? I'm getting sick. I can't do this. So it was a combination. The timing was right to have a family, and I was ready to say, no more.
Yeah, well, there's no fun in that at all.
No, there's no fun in that.
All right. Who are your favorite beginning romance authors, the ones you read over and over?
Oh, I love Lavrell Spencer. She's retired, and it's so sad for me. But I love Separate Beds. I think that book was the one that sort of got me to say, what's it all about? Because that's the one where I figured out, she started out writing something a little bit shorter and a little bit different. I discovered historicals through Catherine Coulter.
Yeah.
And football heroes through Susan Elizabeth Phillips. So I like a broad spectrum of authors and work.
Yeah. How many manuscripts had you written before one was picked up for publication?
Oh, I'd like to say 10. 10. 7 years, 10 manuscripts, submit, reject, submit, revision. I mean, I got close. I thought, this is going to be it. And no. So
you just kept going?
Yeah, I had joined Romance Writers of America, and they are a phenomenal group.
I'm going to ask you about them.
Yeah, okay. Can I go now?
You go ahead. Go ahead and say it.
They're fantastic, and not only are they great for the craft, but they're great for support. And nobody understands a writer like another writer. And when I found all these women who understood, it gets you through the rough times. It really does. The rejections and everything.
Yeah, that's a great review. Now, you notice she did not say, I pouted, gave up, refused to write again because she didn't get what she wanted. She kept at it because she loved writing.
Oh, I pouted, though. And I ate some ice cream.
Blew my whole deal.
Oh, sorry. And I ate chocolate.
Right.
And I used to feed the kids jelly beans if important people would call in, editors and whatever. Here, take the bowl and just shh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Which ice cream is good for things like that.
Ice cream is good.
All right, so you finally began working with an editor from Harlequin Temptation on a book called Ready Made Family.
That's
you
right.
spent months revising, working, fixing, working, which is the boring part, I think.
Now, I have to tell you, I was 9 months pregnant with my second child at this point.
Amazing. So then what happened during this process?
The actual process of that book was an 18-month process, believe it or not. All along, I said to myself, I'm just not sure that this is what they're looking for, but okay, she's interested. They ended up rejecting it for the very reason that I thought they would. It was too family-oriented, and at the time, the line was going in a different direction. They were going towards the hotter books. So the editor said to me, look, I know you can write. You need to give me the story that I can buy. So we brainstormed, and I gave her a synopsis that she liked. And then I did 3 chapters, and I revised that. And this went on for about 6-9 months, or however long it was, on a book that was ultimately called Brazen, and that's what they bought.
So they finally get your book?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, so everything fell into place after that. What did you write after Brazen, and what direction were you taking when you started your new work?
Okay. Brazen was a hot book. At that time, Harlequin Temptation had what they called a sub-series called Blaze. And so all my books were Temptation Blaze books, and they were like the one hottest book a month in the Temptation line. So the next 3 books were Simply Sinful, Simply Scandalous, Simply Sensual, and they will be reissued November, December, and January of this year.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, that's great. And then after that, most of the books were along those lines. They were the hotter books until the Chandler brothers.
Gotcha. Now tell the little story about how because I asked her, where did you come up with the Chandler brothers? And so you said?
I said that, well, my agent had lunch with an editor who was new to Warner, and she said, I read Carly Phillips' Brazen, I love it, and I had an idea for a story, and I was wondering if she wanted to take a look at it. I thought about a mother who has 3 sons, and she is the most meddling woman that we've ever met. And the sons are the hunkiest guys in town. Every woman wants them. But this mother wants grandchildren, and she decides she's going to pretend to be sick to get what she wants.
Amazing.
Run with it.
Yeah.
The story gets better.
And you did.
Yeah, but it still gets better.
Go.
She said to me, guess what, though? Here's the catch. And this was after I'd given her a proposal, and I knew she wanted it. She said, I want you to set it on a ranch. And I said, huh? She goes, ranch. Cowboys sell. I said, I know, but I'm from New York.
It's just a little stretch.
It's just a little stretch. So I agreed. I mean, I would have done anything, and I bought a big horse book, and I bought all this stuff. A couple of months later, because I still had Harlequin obligations that had to be finished, this particular editor left Warner. And so when the new editors came in, I said to my agent, if you do nothing else, let's get rid of the ranch. Please beg, because I can't write it.
Yeah.
So we went back to Yorkshire Falls, and I was very happy.
So, boy, it worked out well.
Worked out really well.
And those 3 brothers, oh my goodness, well, I'm not going to tell you, you'll have to read it yourself. All right, now here's the pièce de résistance. Who is Teresa Myers, and what did she advise you to do with the Bachelor book, which was the first of the Chandler Brothers series?
Okay. Teresa Myers is my publicist at Blue Moon. She's at Blue Moon Communications, and we had been working together, and we were trying to figure out a way to make The Bachelor a hit for me, to do whatever we could on our end to make this book, do something. I felt like I had one chance. And I was watching Regis and Kelly one day, which, all right, I wasn't watching it one day. I watch them every day because I'm
that's fine.
Well, I'm a huge soap addict, and so I've been watching Kelly Ripa from way, way back, from all my children. And Oprah had just given up her book club, and that was the topic of conversation that morning. Regis said to Kelly, Oprah just gave up her book club. I think you should do a book club. And they're joking, and Kelly says, I would want sex, and I would want Fabio on the cover, and I want heat, and I want beach trash. And I'm sitting there with The Bachelor in my hand with these big different colored lips all over the cover going, I've got the book for you.
That's right.
So I called or I emailed Teresa, I don't remember which, and I said, you can't laugh at me, but I think we need to send this book to Kelly. And we did. She did, I should say. And she followed up, phone calls, do you have a producer? What are you doing? I mean, constantly bugging them. And then we started talking a couple of weeks later because we hadn't heard anything, but we knew a lot of authors at this point had caught wind of this whole thing because they were sending in books and they were talking about it every day. I said, we have to do something different. We talked about flowers. We talked about candy. Finally, we came up with the idea of a cookie basket. And we sent the lips from the cover of The Bachelor, and each one had a different saying. So one said a panty thief, because that was in the book, and one said a foreign correspondent journalist, and we had a quote and my name in the title, and it was beautiful. We took a picture. Cookie teasers, and we included the book again, and we sent it in. We will never know if they had looked at it before then, if that was what had caught their interest. It just was. A couple of months went by, and one day I got a phone call. That was it. Warner called me and said, your book was picked. We don't know how. They got it. And I said, I could tell you.
Yeah.
I could tell you.
It's a great story.
So, yeah.
Wow. See, I told you not to turn the channel. All right. You follow the edict of write what you know. Why is that important?
Well, it's not important to every writer, and probably because there are writers who thrive on research, and there are other writers who have a lot more time in their lives than I do.
For research.
For research. I have 2 children, and at the time they were really, that I started, they were really young. And I didn't have the time to do research and to carve out writing time. So for me, and the internet at that point wasn't as big as it is now, where you could say, okay, I'm going to type this in and find out everything I know about it. So I started out writing books. I did a lot about, lawyer characters, because that's what I knew. Right. Babies or whatever I knew that was easiest for me. Mm-hmm. And it works. It works for me. Yeah. And now I have the internet.
Right, right. Well, now you're a mother and a wife. How do you shuffle writing into an already full deck?
Not easily. I think, as any parent will tell you, the one day you look at your calendar and you say, I have Wednesday all to myself. Oh. Well, then you know that somebody's going to wake up sick, or the school nurse is going to call. So I never particularly plan out a schedule, because it's not going to happen. What I like to say is 25 pages a week in any manner, shape, or form. 5 pages a day, 5 days a week, 7 pages, 2 pages. Lately it's been, because of this book tour and everything, gosh, I have to go home and catch up. But that's my schedule that I like to stick to, and it doesn't tie me down for any certain amount of hours a day.
Very good. Do you write when you're on book tour? Did you think about writing when you were on?
I did think about writing when I was on book tour. I took I use an Alpha Smart, but I took it with me. No. I have been going nonstop, and when I'm not going, I need downtime.
I understand.
So
yeah, I never asked that before, but that's an interesting thing. Now, you've gotten a bunch of awards. Is there one that seems to stand out for you as a really special recognition, and what was it that made it special?
This past summer, I got, Walden Books gave me the best, I'm trying to think of how they phrased it, best-selling debut novel of the year for 2002, and it was The Bachelor. Wow. And I didn't know I was getting it. Mm-hmm. It was at Romance Writers of America's National Conference. It was in front of all of my, it was in front of your peers. It was in front of editors, friends, and it just meant it meant a lot to me. It really did. And I got to go up in front of an audience and say, and thank people. Like I had no notice. I got a call 5 minutes before this luncheon that I was getting this award. So that was great for me.
That's so cool. Okay, you've done some cooperative writing, and I said to myself, what is that, and what is that experience like? Cooperative writing?
Cooperative writing.
Was it the short pieces for the
Harlequin? The anthologies?
Maybe.
Okay, I've never called it cooperative writing. I guess that's why.
I don't know where I read that.
If I've done anthologies, which are three different authors write 3 novels.
That's what it is.
Okay, what we did, this was a lot of fun actually. The book itself was called Invitations to Seduction, and it's still on bookshelves because I've signed a bunch in the area. Yeah. We had pitched this idea to our editor, and it was just these 3 authors, me, myself, and 2 other authors, and it was just so much fun, and it was all based on one book, and we each wrote our own story, separate, not related, and yet tied together by a theme.
Interesting.
And it's a lot of fun. And it's a short story, so you're stretching yourself to try and fulfill these people's lives and fulfill what your readers want to get out of a happy ending within a very short amount of pages.
Yeah, every word counts on those, doesn't it?
Yes.
You said that there was no promiscuity in your books. Why is that important for you to make that particular distinction?
I view my books, yes, as romance, I should say first. And because they're romance, you're guaranteed a happy ending. Because you're guaranteed a happy ending, that, to me personally, is a monogamous, committed relationship. So I don't think if you're with one person, whatever you might be doing in the bedroom is your personal business, if it's hot, if it's not, but you're not promiscuous, you're not. And I have children, and that's important to me. I want to have good values, I want to set a good example, and if somebody else's children pick up the book, I want them to know that at the very least, you might be getting a hot book and you have to make a value judgment about age, but I'm not telling you that it's okay, in this day and age to sleep around, because it isn't.
And I thank you for that.
Sure.
All right, do you write one book at a time, or do you work on more than one simultaneously?
I write one book at a time. I call it absolutely shutting the door on any other ideas. Because for me, I get very excited when an idea starts to come to me, and then I start to build the characters in my head, and everything starts to percolate, and I would lose track of what I was writing now, and the excitement for that book would go away.
Right.
And I can't have that happen, so I'll make some notes and I'll put it away.
Gotcha. For the file for future.
File for future. File for future.
Now, did you get a lot of inspiration for the Playboy while you were writing The Bachelor? Did your mind sort of go ahead in the story and go, oh, I think this would work really?
Sometimes towards the end, because it's still the same thing for me. If I start to let myself get wrapped up, even if it's the next book that I know I'm writing, let's say in the Playboy, I might lose sight of what I'm doing in The Bachelor. So I really didn't put a lot into it until afterwards. And I know there are a lot of authors that do their storyboards and plot out all 3 stories beforehand. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing for me was with The Heartbreaker, I didn't know that Samson was Sloane's father when I wrote The Bachelor.
What a great character, by the way.
Now, in The Bachelor, people were reading about him, and he was eccentric, and he was different and mooching food from people. And when I sat down to think about The Heartbreaker, I said, who would be the most, I needed a link between this girl from Washington and Yorkshire Falls, and who would be the best person? And he's the most unexpected, and he's the one you want to know the most about anyway.
That's so true. Yeah, that was such a great character. All right, well, when you have a deadline, do you work more than 25 pages a week? How do you, just say you didn't get your 25 pages done and you're a little behind, the deadline's coming up, what do you do then?
Well, I'm sure I'll be in that position when I get home. You know what happens when a scene goes really well, and you start to really get in the groove, I can end up with 30, 35 pages a week. I will catch up. I don't miss my deadlines, but I like to try and at least keep track. I keep a goal. I call it goal sheets.
Oh, tell about that.
Okay, what I do is it's 1 week on the computer, and I just print out, let's say, 25 copies of that one page, and then I write out, I change the date, and I can keep track. I did 20 pages this week, and sometimes I'll write down why. This one was sick, I was sick, I got a rejection, or whatever it is, something happened and I was upset. It's really great to be able to look back and see what circumstances in your life prevented you from writing, so that maybe the next time you can write through it instead. It also shows you, oh my goodness, you're 20 or 30 pages behind because you really should be on page 230 and you're only on page 200.
Yeah.
It's a huge help.
That's a great idea. I like that. Who's the best, do you have a person that you rely on for editing before you send it off?
Absolutely.
And who is that?
It's Janelle Dennison, and she is my critique partner. She's one of my best friends.
Are you in a writing group?
It's not a writing group. She's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she's an author. She has books out on the shelves, and we rely on each other. If I'm stuck, if I'm in a corner, nobody knows better than her what to help me talk it through.
Okay, so we're just going to pretend like you and your friend are coming to meet together, and you're going to go over the work. What does that look like? What is it you're looking for? Do you read it aloud? Does she go by pencil and check?
Okay.
How does that process work?
Okay, well, first, she's in California and I live in New York.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yep. So we attach it in email format. It depends on how it's working. Sometimes it's a chapter, sometimes it's a scene. You send it over, she reads it, she prints it out, or I'll print out hers. I'll make handwritten changes, vice versa, and then we'll call each other and we'll go through all of it on the phone. And then I'll say, okay, now that you read this, I'm not quite sure where the next scene starts. Can we brainstorm? And that's how it works.
That is such a great idea.
It's fantastic. But you have to be careful. You have to find somebody you trust.
Well, that's the next thing I was going to say. Writers groups, I've heard so many good things about, and then two writers exchanging work for editing, you would have to trust that person, because the thought would always be, did you get that idea from my book?
Yeah, you truly have to trust that person. And sometimes, people are in critique groups and it's a large group of people, and then it can work. But you can get into the trap where they are editing just for words. I don't like that choice of word. I don't, and you really need to make sure that the changes you're making are for valid reasons and not just because somebody else would rather have written it another way.
Name a valid reason, besides nuts and bolts grammar.
Okay, a valid reason would be you want your heroine in a romance novel to always be strong. And if you have her say, I'm leaving town because the hero broke up with me, and then he comes back and says, I changed my mind, I love you, I want to be with you forever. And she says, okay, I'll stay. To me, you've lost ground with your heroine, therefore you've lost ground with your readers.
She's not believable
She's
anymore.
not believable anymore. And so to me, that's a valid reason. Not, you know what, I don't think she should have come to him in his shop. I think she should have come to him. It depends.
Because either you catch it or the reader catches it, and then boom, they're not happy. I wouldn't be happy if I saw an inconsistency in a character.
That's right. And you want somebody to catch that, and that's what your editor's for, and that's what the copy, writers are for. But it's great to have somebody that you trust too.
Well, you don't want to send it in
no, and not only
uncooked.
That, I'll tell you what else. It's really nice during that long writing process to have the occasional pat on the head. And somebody to say, you know what, that really works. It makes you feel good. And when it doesn't work, you feel even better that it's been caught ahead of time.
Right. Oh, that's such good stuff. Okay, so do you do a lot of research? Because I got the idea that you probably don't.
What I do is, for example, in one of my books that's coming up, the tentative title is Under the Boardwalk, and it's my next hardcover for Warner. It's about the Costas sisters, and I mean, for readers that love the Chandler brothers, hopefully they will love these Costas sisters. But I have a foster child in there, and so I went online, and it's from New Jersey, so I looked up the New Jersey foster care system and everything about it, and I printed out all the pages and the requirements. And so in that respect, I've learned to do research. I also have a lot more time. Than I had when the kids were babies.
Well, how old is your youngest now?
My youngest is 7 and she's in school full time.
So that helps a lot.
Yeah, my oldest is 11, so it works.
Okay. You send a 3-page synopsis off to the editor. I just can't imagine how that works. What's the structure of this little synopsis?
I'm terrible. I mean,
that's like something I'd be bad at too.
Well, I mean, the synopsis works for me because they would like to see it longer.
What do they want, chapters?
No, well, you'd think what they would like is the beginning, the middle, the end. They want to see that you have enough meat to fill this story. I let my characters tell the story.
Right.
And I'm not structured, and I have a very difficult time. So what I do is I give them, this is a bit about the heroine, this is a bit about the hero, this is their conflict and how it ties together. This is a little bit about how they get to the end. Happily ever after, please trust me on the rest.
Well, you can't be the only writer who writes with that free-flowing style. They surely have to accommodate a lot of that.
They do. I mean, sometimes what I'll do is I'll send them, either 3 chapters, or I'll send them 100 pages, or I'll say, can you please read this and make sure it's working for you? I'm still not quite ready to give you, a big synopsis. And then I pray that, you know what, they're so busy that they don't want the rest of the synopsis.
Right. So the synopsis doesn't necessarily come first. You're already writing your work.
It doesn't for me.
Okay.
It used to. Because when you first want to sell a book, editors need a synopsis. And so, you really need to do both.
Right.
And I still can do both. They just called me up at Harlequin. They said, I really do need a synopsis. We need to do back cover copy. We need to do it early. And so I had to do a 5 or 6 page synopsis of a book that I hadn't written yet.
So you're working back and forth with each other. Okay, I'll give you one this time, but I prefer not to. Okay, we'll take this instead of synopsis.
Right, or okay, you know what, I'll give you one, but it's going to be vague enough so that you can do your back cover copy, but it's going to be vague enough for me that I'm not tied to anything in the book that might change.
No, that's a good word. Okay, we need to talk about the Heartbreaker.
Okay.
Set the story up, main characters, what's going on there?
Okay. The Heartbreaker is the third book in the Chandler brothers trilogy. So you know we had The Bachelor with the youngest brother, Roman. We had The Playboy with middle brother, Rick. Now we have Chase, the brother who helped raise Roman and Rick when his father died when he was young. And you would think at this point by book 3 that mother, that Raina would be satisfied that her two sons are married.
Right.
They're happy. Let's leave the big brother alone, but
She's dating too.
She's dating too. She should be living her own life. She's not quite ready yet because she really wants Chase to be happy too. But in this case, he's decided, you know what? I have this hometown paper, but I want more. So he follows this big story to where his other brother's working in D.C., and it involves a senator who is running for vice president. While he's there, he has a one-night stand with this woman who he can't forget her, but in his mind, you know what? It's a one-night stand, and I don't want family, and I don't want, I had commitment when I raised my brothers. So he goes off, and he meets the vice president's wife, and he discovers that he slept with her daughter. And, oops. And meanwhile, she says to him, I need you to look out for her, and if you do, I will give you the story that you're looking for.
So he gets what he wants.
So he gets what he wants, and he doesn't get what he wants, because now he goes back to Yorkshire Falls with this woman who in his gut he knows is going to lead him sort of down that path that he doesn't think he wants.
And he's fighting it.
Oh, he's fighting it. Isn't that the best kind, though?
It is. It's so good. The tension is just so. Okay, Raina. Now, you know what? It would have been so easy for her to have been the most annoying character. How you got her to be a meddling mom and still kind of a cool, terrific girl at the same time. Did you ever get to a place where you go, I've got to lighten up here, they're not going to like her? How'd you work that?
I wanted her to be fun. First of all, she always had their best interests at heart.
That's true.
And second of all, you felt sorry for her. And third of all, I wanted her to be funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, she really had a great sense of humor.
Yeah, she's cute.
She was cute. I mean, one line I remember from The Bachelor was when she said, Roman, you can't keep eating this kind of cereal in the morning with soda and junk. It's going to rot your teeth, and no woman wants to wake up and find dentures beside the bed. And so, I think that, just keeping her light helped a lot. And in The Heartbreaker, she learns through some real life trials that why what she did was so wrong.
Right.
And she comes to regret what she did to her sons, even though the end result was good. So
Girl,
she's honest.
You're good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I have to wrap this up, and I always hate to because now I'm starting to have fun. But let me tell our audience that if they are looking for love, they'll find it with the Chandler brothers. This sizzling novel will make you want to go back and read the first 2 to get the whole Chandler story. Carly, thank you for coming, and thank you for your book, The Heartbreaker.
Thank you, and thank you for having me and talking. It's been so much fun.
It's been great. All right, and we thank you for tuning in. I'm Susan Gray, and I will see you next time on Book Talk.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.